The campus of Ball State University here in Muncie, Indiana, and there's a buzz particularly at Schumann Stadium and the Venderly Football Complex. The next stars of Cardinal football all signing on the dotted line. Literally years of recruiting and months of decision making. It all leads up to this. It's National Signing Day Live next in Muncie. It's the first Wednesday in February, which when it comes to college football is like Christmas for coaches and high school seniors alike. National Signing Day, and this is National Signing Day Live. Welcome everybody here inside the Venderly Football Center, the campus of Ball State University. Peter Hood, Joel Godett, glad to have you along with us here. And a lot going on over the next 2 hours as we reveal the entirety of Ball State's 2017 Take Flight recruiting class. And Peter, this is a long time in the making.
Yeah, it is an exciting day for the program, obviously, but it's really about the 27 kids that will be signing here today, all the work that they've put in to get to this point. Obviously, it's everybody's goal to be able to play college football at the Division I level, and certainly exciting for everybody getting to sign today.
Really heralded recruiting class when you look at the rankings from all the different sources out there as well, so it'll be exciting to go through the list of guys whose names continue to pour in. The one time a year we still use a fax machine across America, so we're keeping technology present. Let's introduce you, though, to one of the third members of our four-man team here today and go back into the recruiting war room today where all the Ball State coaches are as all the recruiting faxes are coming in, and say hey to Connor Onion.
Room. This is where the coaches are gathering here this morning. It's been an early morning. Phone lines are buzzing. About half of the letters of intent are in, and we got the depth chart up there on the whiteboards. Coaches have been FaceTiming, texting, making phone calls. It's been a busy morning here at Venderly Sports Complex.
Connor, thank you. We will revisit with Connor, and we'll introduce you to Corey Stace coming up in just a little bit when we visit the big board. But Mike New has joined us on set. It looks like you've got a legit operation going on in that war room.
Great job, just preparation.
I was waiting for one of these.
Been involved in the process. This is exciting to finally have
we
this
good?
day here. Yes, it's been much anticipated. What a great class for us. This 2017 class, just from the beginning, the effort of our staff. I say all the time, we've recruited as a staff and as a family better than any that I've ever been around, and it's been a total team effort. And even our players, the kids that were on board early in this 2017 class that committed early, they've done a great job of getting in contact with the other prospects on social media. It's been a total team effort. It's been very exciting to finally get this day here, and this is a big day for our program.
What is this process like for you? Take me on the Mike New recruiting handbook, what you guys aim to look for and how you go out and find it.
Obviously, you start the whole process with, okay, what are our needs? You obviously look at your current roster, the guys that are going to be leaving your program. You break that down positionally. What are the areas of need? And I'd say just as a general statement for us, we wanted to get bigger. We wanted to get faster, and we needed some playmakers. And we were able to address all those things with this class. And it's a process that, once you start right after signing day a year ago, you identify the guys that you go after, some of those guys that you offered early on. It's about building relationships. You go out, you spring recruit, you try to get those young men on your campus to evaluate in your prospect camps here. You go see them at other places at prospect camps. Then when the fall starts, obviously you're busy with your opponent breakdown, with your games every week. But then when recruiting opens up, the coaches go out, they see them, they try to see them in person. And then once the season's over, you're allowed 1 week there in December where we're out on the road all over the place, from place to place. Spent a lot of time in Georgia and Alabama, Louisiana, Indiana. So kind of a lot of travel there, but much, well worth it because you're trying to build relationships and convince these young men and their families that they're going to be coming to a family atmosphere here. They're going to be well taken care of, and they're going to be part of something special.
But you talked about wanting to get bigger and stronger and faster. There's obviously the talent aspect. You're trying to bring the best talent you can in here, but you also talk all the time about true Cardinal and what it means to be that, and the character aspect as well of the student athlete. Just walk me through that process of evaluating them from a character standpoint and what kind of young men you're bringing in here.
Well, our coaches have done a great job in terms of the background checks and communicating with their high school coaches, building a relationship with their families to know, okay, what's this young man all about? What's his family life about? What has his upbringing been like? Has he had some adversity in his life that he's had to overcome? So that's been really a thorough part of the process that our coaches have done a great job, because we want great young men coming into our program. Not only are they guys that can make a difference for us on the field, but as we all know, we want these guys to be great representatives of our university, of our football program, to thrive in the classroom and to leave out of here ultimately with their degree. You know, we want every one of these young men to be successful, have a great career here on the field of Ball State, but more importantly is when they leave here, be set up for life after football and go make a difference in our world. And we emphasize that all the time. We talk about the true Cardinal and the things that it takes to ultimately be that by the time they leave here. They're all going to enter our program as Cardinals, but they have to accomplish all those things. They have to get their degree and be successful not only on the football field but in life in order to be able to accomplish that.
Mike, let's talk a little bit of strategy from a recruiting standpoint as well. And we're going to reveal some names here off the top, but without getting too specific, strategy for you geographically. Obviously, you recruit in-state as much as you can. There are a bunch of Indiana guys expected to be in this class, but every coaching staff kind of has its niche area that it likes to go to. You went down south a lot, and we're going to see a lot of names from the Southeast in particular. What was your goal in terms of areas of the country you wanted to look at, and what suited you as a coaching staff in those spots?
Well, I think it all starts when you start to develop your recruiting board. You're going to look everywhere. It's not just, hey, we want to focus and do a great job in state and in the Midwest. Since our school obviously is located in the Midwest, we're close to the Indianapolis area. We want to do a great job locally, but at the same time, we look everywhere. You evaluate players. Obviously, Coach Jackson has done a great job in the Atlanta area. There's a lot of young men in the Atlanta area, but it started with Coach Jackson, but it's become a total team effort in Atlanta. There's been a lot of guys on our staff spend time, Coach Bailey, Coach McKenzie, Coach Curtis, both Coach Kevin Lynch and Joey Lynch. Myself, we've all spent a lot of time in the Atlanta area over the last several weeks, and it's become a total team effort that way. Coach Curtis in Louisiana, obviously that was a big part for us that we wanted to tap into with the connections down there and with the effect that Willie Snead has had in the Gulf South and those young men and those high school kids knowing that name and the association with Ball State University. So, our guys, it starts, but I think the Atlanta just kind of took off a little bit. The anticipation, a lot of those young men had developed relationships with each other over the summer and some of the things they were able to do together in the Cam Newton 7-on-7 league that they participated in. So a lot of our young men knew each other in the Atlanta area, and once they came up to see our campus, I think the excitement and very impressed with our campus had a lot to do with that.
If we have your permission, can we get to the class?
Absolutely.
Let's dive right into it. We just talked a lot about the South and the Gulf South. We're going to start in the Midwest, though, with our first recruiting announcement, and one of many linebackers expected to be in this class. From Medina, Ohio, our first one is Jimmy Daw. He was a running back in high school as well. He ran for 41 touchdowns as a senior. Lets you know a little bit about his toughness. Cleveland.com Offensive Player of the Year. He was on a 9-3 Medina team last year. First team All-Ohio, broke county records for points in a single season, touchdowns in a single season. You see the school records that he set as well. And to boot, a power forward on the basketball floor, an athlete at linebacker, Jimmy Daw.
Yeah, absolutely. Quite an athlete. The Cardinals are getting there. Played a couple positions in high school, and certainly a guy who you'd expect to come in and make an impact. Caleb Huntley is our next recruit. He comes from Locust Grove, Georgia, one of several Georgia kids making their way up to Muncie next year. 6 feet, 226 pounds. He committed in January, had offers from Western Kentucky, Georgia State, Minnesota, among others. Ran for nearly 1,500 yards and 13 touchdowns. He had 10 100-yard games as a senior. County Player of the Year, first team All-Region, 5A running back, and he has the high school yards per season and yards per game record down in Locust Grove. Again, Joel, one of several Georgia kids making their way up here.
Let's keep it on offense. Let's go to the receiver position. 5'10", 175 pounds. A Georgia kid out of Alexander. His name's Justin Hall. Big-time offers for Justin Hall. You look at the other places that were on this guy's map, that's always one of the things you like to look at in comparison. See who else was chomping at the bit to get a guy. A whole host of names, particularly across the Southeast. We'll see those in a minute. But Justin Hall, so dynamic, both on offense and defense in high school. 74 catches, 987 yards. As a senior, he had 11 touchdowns. Peter, you see he also returned kicks. 24 total touchdowns in the career of Justin Hall, a big-time playmaker at the wide receiver spot.
That's a lot of scoring, and we'll stick with the wide receiver spot. Ethan Merriweather is our next recruit. 6'2", 180 pounds, so good size wide receiver out of Carmel, Indiana, just about an hour south of here. He was recruited by Joey Lynch, Cardinals offensive coordinator. Won a state championship as a senior. His team was ranked number 3 in Indiana. They went 10-4, won the state championship in thrilling fashion. His senior year put up good numbers, 800 yards, 10 touchdowns. He's 4th in school history in receptions, 5th in total yards. So not only talent there for Ethan Merriweather, production there as well at the wide receiver spot.
Hard to get it to him, though, unless you have somebody to give Riley Neal some time. So let's go to the offensive line. Curtis Blackwell, our first lineman, all 6'5", 306 pounds of him. He's from Fort Wayne, Norwell High School, same place that produced Chandler Harnish, the vaunted quarterback from Northern Illinois. Yeah, pretty darn good at football. Other offers, you look at Army was one of his offers, service academies, going after a guy like that. It talks about character right off the top. 24/7 Sports had him as the 13th ranked player in Indiana, 75 tackles, 4 sacks on the defensive side in his career. He also was a shot put and discus state qualifier, so strength speaks for itself. He also won his school's first 4A sectional championship just this past year.
Another wide receiver, another Georgia recruit. That's kind of a theme, Joel. A lot of Georgia recruits, a lot of receivers, a lot of defensive backs. Hassan Littles, 5'11", 176 pounds, out of Stevenson, Georgia, was highly recruited among MAC schools. Kent, Miami, Ohio, Toledo, some of the MAC schools to offer Hassan Littles along with Ball State. He played both wide receiver and defensive back in high school. As a senior, caught 13 balls for 409 yards, 3 touchdowns. On defense, he had 2 interceptions and 5 pass breakups. He was the team's offensive MVP. Ran track in high school as well, Joel. Went to regionals in the 4x100 and 4x400, so some speed on Mr. Littles.
Quick note as well before we move forward on to Justin Gibbs as we roll on through the recruiting. If you notice the ticker at the bottom, I saw Kristen Williams from the MAC. Shout out to the compliance office at Ball State. They got their first NLI in. They beat every other school in the MAC. Cardinals racing to the finish, getting these faxes in. All right, let's move forward to our next signee, and we continue in the wide receiver category. And we go back to Georgia from Grovetown. Justin Gibbs, 6'2", 208. Talk about size out there. He's a digital sports track kind of guy when he gets here, so he'll be taking our jobs coming up. 106 receptions, 19 touchdowns in his career, 1,700 yards. Senior season for Justin Gibbs, 36 catches, 397 yards. Notable offers, my goodness. When you're beating schools like that, you feel really good about getting a guy like Justin Gibbs. Big Ten offers. There's an SEC name on that list. Justin Gibbs, huge get out wide for the Cards.
Yeah, really good late get for the Cardinals. The future Aaron Hepp, maybe, as far as the digital sports production track and receivers go, no? Khalil Newton, another receiver on our board now. Stevenson, Georgia. You heard that hometown before already. Originally committed to Western Kentucky. His other offers included Jacksonville State, Kentucky, Big Blue, Miami, NC State, Toledo, Purdue, Wake Forest. You heard Joel mention it. When you're able to beat out Power 5 conference schools like that, you have to feel good if you're Ball State. 28 catches for 600 yards and 7 touchdowns as a senior. His team went 9-2. Down in Stevenson, and another good get at the receiver position for the Cardinals.
A lot of wide receivers in this first grouping of announcements of commitments and signees, officially guys that have penned their names to those national letters of intent. Khalil Newton. All right, a lot more coming up here as we continue on Signing Day Live. We have more names to get to. We'll also start talking to a flurry of Ball State assistant coaches. Much more on tap as we roll on here in Muncie. Ball State Football National Signing Day Live continues coming your way here from the Venderly Football Complex, Muncie, Indiana. Peter Hood, Joel Godet from the Ball State Radio Network. We're going to throw it over to the guys from Ball State Sports Link, though, because we just threw a lot of names at you. And Peter, if you're having difficulty keeping track,
it's a lot to count.
It's a lot to count.
Yeah.
That's what the big board is for. Connor Onion and Corey Stace have the rundown of what's on tap and what's in the class already right now.
Hey guys, here's a look at our big board. It's blank right now. No electronic big board, but we'll be killing some trees and putting some names up here. First, we'll start with Jimmy Daw, running back in high school. Corey will come here play some linebacker, you love his size.
Yeah, well, absolutely, especially since he played running back in high school. You have to know that he's an athletic guy at that linebacker position. They're moving him over to the defensive side of the ball. He also played some wide receiver in high school as well. I think that'll help him out.
Ball State excelled in running the football last year. They get deeper at running back with, let's see, where's Caleb Huntley at? Here he
Right
is.
there
Right
you
here.
found him. Yeah, Caleb Huntley, I mean, the size tells you everything. 6 foot, 226-pounder. He runs physical. He fights for every single yard, and I mean, he's coming in as a true freshman. We saw the likes of James Gilbert have success as a true freshman. James Gilbert's Ball State's power back. He's going to be a good 1-2 punch if he can come in and have some success his freshman year. He definitely has the size.
And a bunch of wide receivers in this class as well. Justin Hall, the first off the board. You love what you see on film as far as creating plays after the catch.
Yeah, I think he has great vision after the catch. He can catch an underneath route and use his blockers once they get downfield. Also was a kick returner in high school, punt returner. So he has that vision that you like after the catch. He can definitely score on big plays.
And then a local kid from Carmel, Indiana, Ethan Merriweather.
Yeah, Ethan Merriweather, like you said, local kid, Carmel High School, polished route runner. I think I saw on film that he had very good routes, and that's how he got open. He's not going to blow you away with his speed or size. He's 6'2", so he does have good size, but he really gets open with his route running.
Joel mentioned it in that last segment. You can have great athletes, but you need time to get them the ball. So Ball State brings in an offensive lineman, and let's see, Curtis Blackwell.
Yeah, Curtis
First
Blackwell.
offensive lineman off the board.
Second recruit in this class for Ball State. He's a second-rated recruit behind Khalil Newton. He's a big player, and I think that he had a lot of interest from bigger schools. He's a great puller from that tackle position, can definitely get out in the run game, and he's physical. He can really put players on the ground, and that's his MO. He's got the size for it, and he's not afraid to put people to the ground.
Big-time athlete at wide receiver. Hassan Whittle's had plenty of high major offers.
Yeah, he's not the biggest guy, but he will blow you away with his athleticism. At the start of his huddle highlight video, he just did a backflip to get the team hyped, and he made it look easily. So that just tells you enough about his athletic ability.
Another athlete from Georgia, wide receiver Justin Gibbs, talking about high major interest and offers. Had an SEC offer, a couple Big Ten offers as well.
Yeah, Justin Gibbs, another guy that I love his athleticism. He's great with his speed, and he has the size to develop at that wide receiver position.
Final guy, Khalil Newton, another wide receiver.
Khalil Newton, I mean, the top recruit in this Ball State class, has the size. He uses it to his advantage. Against cornerbacks, much smaller guys, he will go up and get the ball, and I think that's why he's the highest rated player in this Ball State recruiting class, because he likes to go up and get the ball at the high point.
I think I know with this area right here who the people want to hear from. That's Coach Bailey. Joel and Peter are with him.
First off, Connor, we got to work on Connor's interior decorating skills. We got to we got to get him a level, maybe.
Put it in like alphabetical order or something.
We can do that. Alex Bailey does join us though here on set, and you're done. Your guys are signed. You got to feel good.
Oh yeah, it feels great. I couldn't wait for this day, and I'm glad it's here, and I'm glad everything's official.
Tell me about this group. You've got 5 receivers in this group. What stands out? Obviously, a lot of size first and foremost. Is that the first thing that hits you?
Yeah, the size, we definitely, that was an area that we wanted to address in this receiver class. I think we did that. And then also, for us, it was just getting the best overall athlete at the position, just to bring more competition there.
When you're selling a receiver to come here, Mike New mentioned the Willie Snead factor, and how much are you selling the recruits on guys like Willie Snead, guys like Jordan Williams, who have come here, Kevon Maybon, who have come here and had opportunities to go to the next level?
Absolutely. We actually sell that a lot. When we go on in the homes and we're talking to prospects, and we're talking about our vision for them in our program and more specifically at the wide receiver position, it's good for them to know that there's guys that were just like them, from whether it be from a size standpoint, from an athletic standpoint, or just, it might be the way they got here might be very similar in terms of like a recruiting process. And we like to sell those things because those are facts. We've had good wide receivers come through this program, and, that's kind of where we want to keep this thing going.
I don't want to single too many guys out too much because everybody all has their own acclaim, but 2 guys in particular you got very late in this class as well. Mm-hmm. Tell me about Khalil Newton. Tell me about Justin Gibbs and what kind of gets they were for you in the last week and a half.
Yeah. Both of those guys are huge gets for us. Obviously, they fill a lot of needs. They had a lot of offers. You know what I mean? So they're, they had a lot of things going there. But, the fact that they had interest in us, we got an opportunity to build the relationships with not only them but with their families. I think played a huge part in them coming here.
Coach, obviously Damon Hazelton was a guy who was able to come here and get on the field right away as a true freshman. What do you have to see from some of these guys? Clearly a lot of talent. What do you have to see from some of these guys to be able to come in and try to make an impact in games right away?
Really the same thing that Damon showed us early on. Number one, just having a competitive spirit, coming in ready to compete, coming in shape, so they can get out there and get reps. And then again, just gaining an understanding of our offense. And really that's kind of the recipe. We feel like they have the talent to compete early, and if they take care of their business, then it could happen.
That was the question I had for you: is what are those opportunities like, and what's that window like? Obviously, Kevon graduates with that, the most catches ever here at Ball State. You lose a guy like Aaron Hepp, who gave you some consistency and some good effort in the slot as well. What kind of windows are there for this group to come in and get some reps?
Yeah, it's a huge opportunity there, and all of those guys know that, and that was another thing that we kind of hit home with them, in the recruiting process was, hey, you're coming to a place where you're gonna get a ton of opportunity to compete and show what you can do. And I think that's why, that was a huge part in them making the decision to be here.
When we go behind the curtain here and just how much work you guys as a staff have to put in for this all to come to fruition, can you kind of describe what that process is like for all of you guys and just kind of the work that goes into it over a year and a half?
No doubt. It's definitely a long process, with a lot of these guys. I know we got, Khalil and Justin pretty late in the process. However, Hassan was a guy, he was our first wide receiver commit, and that started all the way back into the summer. Not only our position coaches working and coordinators, it's really a team effort on our staff, everybody chipping in. And, again, we feel really confident about this class, and especially at the receiver position.
Alex, thanks, man. Congratulations on the class.
Appreciate
Absolutely.
it, Coach.
Thank you.
Wide receiver coach Alex Bailey joining us. We are just getting started, though. Take another timeout. Come on back. We've got more names to rattle off for you. This signing class grows for the Ball State Cardinals. We'll break it down more on the other side here in Muncie.
Welcome back to National Signing Day coverage here from Ball State University. Plenty of signees still coming in as we take a look at the Ball State basketball team. They're on a roll right now, just won last night and took sole possession of first place in the MAC West Division. They play Buffalo on Friday at 9 p.m. That game will be on ESPNU. Ball State won that first meeting 92-77 on January 14th. It's going to be a Burger King family game for that game as well. And Ball State University on a roll right now. Joel, Peter, I know you pay close attention to the Ball State basketball team. We also have some more signees coming in for the Ball State football team. Back to you.
Ishmael Ali is the lone Ball State basketball signee. He's walking into a good situation right now, too, by the way.
Yeah, they're playing well, absolutely. 6 of their last 7 on a roll.
So they've got Buffalo coming up on Friday, a team they beat earlier this season. Pat Doherty joins us on set, which you can't see because we have a 2-shot, but trust me, he's sitting there. We'll get to Pat here in just a second. Before we do that, though, we've got to tell you why we have Pat Doherty with us. So more signees, and we start with the linebacker position, and one who's got a little bit of an interesting background in high school. His name is David Ruth. Not only did he play football, he also played soccer in high school. Yeah, he played both. They're both fall sports. He did both of them at the same time. He practiced and played and really didn't miss a whole lot of anything. Linebacker and a punter and the starting goalie. Committed to football first, did miss a couple of practices on the soccer side, but he won a state title there with 70 saves and 16 shutouts. So if nothing else, we know he can stop things, which is good for a linebacker. Team MVP as a senior, most outstanding linebacker as a junior and as a senior, and he's from Bishop Alter as well. I think Pat might know something about that. We'll get to that here in just a little bit.
This next guy, Joel, played a few positions in high school. Quarterback, kicker, punter. We're talking about Nathan Snyder. He'll be a punter here. 6'4", 220 pounds from Marysville, Ohio. Played quarterback, like I mentioned, 983 yards, 8 touchdowns as a junior. He hurt his ankle this year, so didn't play the quarterback position, but heck of an athlete. Dad Patrick played at Purdue and with the Colts in the late early 90s. His uncle Duke Snyder was a pitcher at Purdue, so he has good bloodlines, Joel, and a good athlete for the Cardinals at the punter spot.
Snyder with a Y, by the way, not Snyder with an I, because then he'd be a Hall of Famer. But Duke Snyder still nonetheless. Moving to the defensive backfield, Bryce Cosby, 5'11", 178 pounds. He's from DuPont Manual in Kentucky. 8 interceptions as a junior. That was a school record. 14 career interceptions as well. High school captain. He's got good bloodlines. His dad played football at Louisville. First team All-State this past season. Also a sprinter. So you add a little bit of size in the defensive backfield, a little bit of hops, and certainly a whole lot of speed from Bryce Cosby out of Kentucky.
Our next recruit, Joel, is Jake McKenzie, an offensive lineman out of Indianapolis Heritage Christian High School, 6'4", 278 pounds. You like pancakes, Joel?
I do.
This guy had a lot of pancakes as a senior, 43 of them, committed to Ball State just hours after being offered. Both parents are alums, so an easy decision for Mr. McKenzie. Had an offer from Indiana State as well. Also played defense, 37 tackles, 2 tackles for loss on defense. So played multiple spots in high school like a lot of these guys did, and maybe would be able to come in and make an impact right away.
So let's see 4 more names to add to the list, and as we sit down here with Pat, first off, let's talk specialists, because that's your field of expertise. You got another punter. Does he add to the lineage of, I mean, it's amazing. You go back like 15 years, there've been like 4 punters here. So you just come in and you do it for 4 years, that's the thing.
Yeah, we've been very blessed here at Ball State to have some pretty talented guys at the specials positions, and we have high hopes that Nathan's going to continue that tradition, and he's a very, as you saw in his highlight film and you talked about, he's obviously a very good athlete. Not only did he play quarterback and played some linebacker, played corner, played all over the field for his high school team. He's also a really good pitcher on the high school baseball team. So just a really good all-around athlete. Great kid. Really excited about his future.
How do you recruit a punter? Because I feel like that is the one thing that is so statistically obvious to you. You can look at quarterbacks and, well, what's his mechanics look like? And I guess that goes into punting too. But what stands out other than 45 yards a kick?
Well, I think when you're looking at we were looking at punters this year, what really attracted me to Nathan was that he's not just a specialist. He's capable of doing. He's a really good athlete, and I think a lot of times it's what's undersold with the specialist position is you sit on the sideline and then it's time to go perform. You're put in high pressure situations. He's used to that, whether that's being on the mound pitching in a baseball game or whether that's being the quarterback on the football team. He's used to being in high pressure situations and handling that, and just really like that his mental makeup and all the things he brings to the table as an overall athlete.
I was going to say, how much does the versatility of a guy like that sell you in terms of, yes, he can obviously punt a football, but you can put him in some other situations and feel pretty good that he's going to be able to make some plays?
Yeah, I mean, I think ultimately, anytime you get a guy that's just an overall good athlete, I think his best football is definitely in front of him because he's always been playing another sport. He was playing quarterback. He was doing all these things. He wasn't like he was a guy that was focused purely on punting his whole high school career. So I think anytime you can get a guy just with the versatility and the athleticism that he has, just tremendous upside in the future.
All right, let's talk about some other guys that you recruited in this class as well. Have you ever been to Alter?
I have.
I don't know. It doesn't ring a bell.
I have. Yeah. No, it's obviously really cool. My last year with Chris, and now this year with David, being able to recruit someone from my alma mater is a special thing, and really excited that Chris is here doing a great job, and look forward to David doing the same.
Chris Beach, who was in last year's recruiting class. What stood out about David Ruth? You talk about versatility, 2 sports at the same time.
Yeah. So David, really wasn't a highly recruited guy. Mainly because in the spring and the summer he didn't really hit the camp circuit. He spent a lot of time. He was playing travel soccer, doing all those sorts of things, and really kind of made the commitment to do that. And then didn't really play high school soccer until this year. His coach made a deal that he didn't have to come to practice, would be able to just show up to the games and
no practice.
Yeah, so
sounds like a great deal.
and there's been some my high school coach, Coach Dom Seitz, had nothing but just great things to say about David and his ability and his competitiveness, his overall athleticism, and you see that when you look at the film, whether that's him returning punts, whether that's him picking off passes and running, whether that's, the overall physicality at playing the linebacker position. There's a lot of things there that really get you excited about him.
Pat, congrats on this class so far.
Thank you.
Enjoy the success.
Well, we appreciate it. Thank you.
Pat Doherty, special teams coordinator and tight ends coach, joining us here on set. We're going to go back to the war room now. Connor Onion is back there. Connor, give us the feel. We are almost complete with some names coming in that back room.
This is where it all happens with the coaches here with offensive coordinator Joey Lynch. Coach, take us inside. What goes on inside this room throughout the day?
Yeah, really just a lot of anticipation. We get in here early. Of course, the kids can't sign any earlier than 7 a.m. In their time zone. So getting here and excited for the faxes to come in. And Tillman Clark's over, our director of player personnel, with Pat Quinn, our compliance director, to make sure that everything's signed correctly and we can publish it and let everyone know that they're officially Cardinals. But it's a lot of fun, and of course got kids in different time zones, so we got to wait until they're eligible to sign. But it's a day full of fun.
There were fist pounds before claps. I heard the slow clap going on from the room next door. How excited is this coaching staff to bring in a big class like this?
Well, we think we hit a lot of needs. We're really excited about the class, and it's a year-long process. And once you get to know kids and offer kids scholarship and get to know their family, it's finally here, and they're officially part of the program. And we really think the future is bright here, and definitely think with the class we brought in, we're just adding to the competition in our program, which brings out the best in everybody.
You've seen the evolution of this program as a player and as a coach and being a former recruiting coordinator. As the program has evolved, how have you changed your recruiting pitch and mended it to this current coaching staff and the current situation here?
Yeah, the biggest thing, I think you got to be you and us, I should say. And Coach New is unbelievable with prospects and their family and the places he's been and where we're going as a program. And I think it's easy to sell. And we're going to be upfront and honest with everybody and be very genuine. So we talk about team recruiting a lot. So now what position? It's just not the area coach, it's not the position coach. It's everybody, and that's our goal as a program.
Coach, congratulations on a great class.
Thank you. Looking forward to it.
Joel, Peter?
Connor, Joey, thank you. We'll have Joey Lynch back here on set coming up in just a little bit as well. But before we get to Joey and further assistant coaches on the set here, we have more names to get to. And before we get to that, we've got a break to get to. Much more coming up. Signing Day live as we roll on here at the Venderly Football Complex in Muncie, Indiana. It's Ball State football here on E3. National Signing Day Live is all about those that are high school seniors inking their national letters of intent, but we also get an opportunity to scratch our noses and toss things over to current players that have also been through National Signing Day Live. Kevin Willis, upperclassman for the Ball State Cardinals, at the big board with Corey Stace.
Thanks, Joel, and I'm here with Kevin Willis, defensive tackle for the Ball State football team. He's going to be a senior next year. And Kevin, with National Signing Day today, we have to ask you, I heard you had an interesting story about signing day. What is that story?
Well, back in February when I was graduating, I actually got snowed in, so I couldn't. People usually go to the school to decide where they're gonna go, and I couldn't do it. I just did it right from home at my desk. So.
And what did you think of the whole recruiting process? I know a lot of people don't like it. What was your perspective on it?
I honestly loved it. I mean, I love football, so I love going to different schools, figuring out how they work and how everybody comes together, and just love the game of football. So,
what type of things were you looking for in a team when you made that decision?
Basically, how they would bring me in, how much of a family it would be. I mean, I'm a big family person, and if I don't feel like if the whole team's my brother, then I just don't feel right there. So.
And why did you end up choosing Ball State? Did they have those qualities?
They had everything. I mean, I knew a lot of people that came here have graduated already, and coming here, I just knew they accepted me in right away. I just knew it was going to be a lifelong bond of brothers.
And now that you've been here at Ball State, a lot of different recruiting classes come in. What is your mentality when another recruiting class comes in? Obviously, talented freshmen coming in and really looking to take a job on this team, but you have your job cemented. What is your mentality when those type of players come in and try to compete for your job?
Well, what I think about is just trying to get them better to where they need to be, but also it's always a competition when people come in, because right now no one's spot is set in stone. So when they come in, I'll try to help them. They'll learn from me, and then maybe I could learn something from them too that I never knew. So that's basically all about it.
And with football right now, obviously the season stalled. What type of things, what type of football activities are you doing right now?
Right now we're just conditioning, working out every morning. 3 weeks conditioning and then 4 weeks are lifting weights.
And what things are you focusing on to get better?
I'm focusing on mainly my speed, kind of trying to lose a little weight. But, mainly my speed and just losing weight and getting better.
And with this team, obviously not the season that you would have hoped. Obviously, bowl season is probably the goal every season when you step out. 4-8 last season. What will it take to get to that next step and become bowl eligible?
Definitely for everybody to be brought in. I mean, I think past couple of years we didn't have people who really, wanted to be there, wanted to play. But I feel like, especially with this incoming class, I feel like if everyone's bought in, which I'm almost positive we will be, then we can definitely get to a bowl game.
And what do you think of this whole new coaching staff and whole new coaching style? Mike New comes in this year. You were under Pete Limbo before that. What do you think of the coaching staff in their first year and how good of a job they did?
I mean, I think they did an amazing job. We're kind of a young team trying to get used to the coaches. But, I mean, our coaches have a lot of experience with different places. Obviously, Coach New was with the Saints before coming here with the great Drew Brees, excuse me. But, I think with their expertise and their past, they can help us a lot and be just great coaches.
Well, that was defensive tackle Kevin Willis of the Ball State football team. Expect big things from him on the defensive side, including the recruiting classes still rolling in. Back to you guys.
Corey, Kevin, thank you. Kevin, do you have a fax machine, by the way? Is that
I do not. I honestly can't remember how it happened.
I was just curious.
I honestly can't remember how it happened. I think I went to the school the day before.
Fax machines. It's the technology of the future. Peter, talk about the future. That's what today is about, but we're also going to take a chance to look back into the past. A quick review of the season that was for Ball State, Mike New's first season, and the official dawn of a new era here in Muncie.
Change is always tough. Change is always tough. I encourage those guys to embrace the change because the faster that we can get on the same page, then we can put all our effort and energy in the right direction and get Ball State back to winning the MAC title.
Just everything you can ever imagine in a college experience, Ball State has definitely taught me.
When I think of Ball State, it's gonna be happy. It's gonna be happy thoughts. A lot of great days here, and this place has definitely changed my life.
Cool thing about college football is you really grow up as a man, and I mean you come in at 18 years old, now you graduate 22, 23 years old, and it's you really find out who you are, who you're going to be for the rest of your life.
Just all the opportunities and the things you get to see and people get to meet. And I feel like throughout this 4 years, that's been a big part of it.
Much more coming up on National Signing Day Live here from Ball State. First look at the out-of-conference schedule that all the signees and all the current Cardinals will play as well. 4 games at Illinois. Starts it off September 2nd. Really good slate. The home games with UAB. It's the second game back for UAB. Don't get to re-debut that program, but UAB will be in Muncie and Tennessee Tech as well. Much more Signing Day Live coming up here in Muncie. National Signing Day Live rolls on here at the Vennerly Football Center in Muncie, Indiana. We have announced about half of the class so far. Peter Hood, Joel Dudek, glad to have you back along with us. Pete, what do you say? Let's dive right back in.
Absolutely.
Let's dive in, and we'll start back in the defensive backfield with a guy named Miles Hanna. We'll visit Georgia once again. Cardinals have dipped their toe in the Georgia pool a lot. 6 feet, 180 pounds, out of Stevenson, Georgia. That's a high school we've called a couple of times already. Offers out of the likes of Fresno State, Middle Tennessee, Tulane, South Florida. Cardinals beat some high-level programs to get the services of Miles Hanna. Runs track as well, 58 seconds to run 400 meters. That's 100 yards in 13 seconds. They give the skill guys, 15 to run their 110s. So think about that for a second. Didn't play as a senior because of injury, but in a career, 7 pass breakups, 2 forced fumbles, 2 punt blocks, 2 interceptions, and now we test Peter's linguistic ability.
To the offensive line now, and you'll hear from offensive line coach Kyle Devan in just a moment. Pony Tuuta, the offensive tackle out of John Curtis Christian, Louisiana. I wonder who recruited him. John Curtis.
I don't know.
His brother John played offensive line at NC State. 37 solo tackles last year, so played both sides of the ball. 5 career sacks. Couple of sacks last year, forced fumble, quarterback hurry. And he also throws shot put and discus, Joel. So quite the athlete, good size on him as well out of John Curtis.
And an immediate All-MAC performer on the All-Name team, Pony Tuuta. Let's stay at the linebacker level, or we'll move to the linebacker level. Let's work on my language coming up here a little bit. Brendan Burns is a pitcher for the Ball State baseball team. Brock Burns is a linebacker for the Ball State football team. 6'4", 202 pounds, out of Hamilton Southeastern. Cardinals are doubling up on the Burns family. Their mom played basketball in college too. Really athletic family. They got him away from a couple other MAC programs that were on Burns' heels. 3-sport athlete, baseball, played some basketball, 102 tackles as a senior, couple interceptions, 8 pass deflections as a senior, set the school record for tackles in a single season and a single game, and he's a linebacker that returned punts and kicks. So add some athleticism into that mix for Brock Burns as well. 3 more names to throw onto the list for Ball State's recruiting class here in 2017. Peter, you mentioned Kyle Devan joining us on set. He does that presently. We announced Pony Tuuta. Are you going to work on your pronunciations to coach up the freshmen?
No, he's a phenomenal kid. You get to talk to him, you get to meet him, you get to talk to his family, and what a tremendous young man. I've been blessed to work with a ton of Polynesians out on the West Coast, and I'm really excited to have this big Tongan, which will be a difference maker in this conference. He'll be one of the few in the MAC conference, but we're excited about him. He's a big, strong kid now, played a ton of defense. We'll be moving him to the offensive side of the ball, but you talk about a big, athletic kid with the intangibles, the traits that you really value in your program. He has those.
He came onto your list really late as well, and obviously, Johnny Curtis would have coached him in high school. Yep. When did he pop up on the radar, and how?
Well, he's kind of always been on the radar. When you talk about a signing class and a class where you're going to take a full class, it's all about the numbers. So we had 2 tackles in Curtis Blackwell and Jake McKenzie that we were really high on. And when it came down to it, we felt like it's best to add another big interior offensive lineman that could play guard and tackle. So we had been in contact and communication, and when the numbers came down to the final week, we decided that it would be in the best interest of our program to bring up a kid like that.
You mentioned Curtis Blackwell, and if you look at recruiting rankings, he's one of the higher-rated recruits in your class, a guy who got a lot of interest, a lot of offers from other schools. What impressed you? What stood out to you about Blackwell, and what excites you about his future?
Once again, it's those intangibles that you talk about, the traits that you value, and comes in at over 6'5", comes in over 300 pounds, and And I've got to know this kid over the last year, and you've seen a kid develop. You've seen a kid, his body is transformed, and that's what you want. You want athletic people in the offensive line world. You look at our run game this year, we ran the outside zone as much as any other play in the run game. And he's a kid that has the range to do it. He can cut off, he can reach people, and add on that he's physical is just even better.
Well, let's talk about one guy whose name we have not called out on the show yet, but we can talk about him because he's already here. He's in for spring. His name is Jake McKenzie. He's a recruit locally out of Heritage Christian down in Indianapolis. Talk about what he brings to the table and what it's been like having him here already.
You know, he's another kid. You talk about the athletic trait that he possesses, and it really excites me. And his recruiting story is a little bit different than most. You know, we stayed in contact all spring, and basically I followed his progression last spring in 2016. And he came to camp, and he literally earned his scholarship because I said, you know, I want you to come to camp and show us what you got. And he did, and he impressed us. And another kid that can play tackle, potentially play guard, but he's over 6'3.5". He's 280 pounds, long, extremely long arms, and those are the things. Being at in the professional level, you know, you talk about numbers and traits and those things. He possesses that. He would be at the combine with a lot of numbers that would match up with the best and the best.
That's a good place to start.
We were talking off the air. 43 pancakes as a senior. That's a lot, no?
Yeah. No, that is. I'm excited. That's really well. You get 4 or 5 a game, especially in their system, you're doing pretty well. And that's the thing I love is I want to finish guys in the run game. You know, that's a pure example of finishing the play, finishing the block, and having a mentality to take over the game.
And for those who don't know, a pancake is, can you define that for us?
A pancake is when you're
it's a
blocking.
flat pastry.
Yeah, I mean, I love them at breakfast. Let's be honest. But it's when you're run blocking a defender, and you literally run block him to his back, and you put him on his back. And then, you know, a pancake at the restaurant is nice, fluffy, floury.
You put syrup on it.
Syrup,
yeah.
Extra butter. I mean, it's delicious.
I don't know where to go from there. Kyle Devan, thanks for joining us, man.
Oh, I appreciate it.
My favorite quote from this guy, by the way, he doesn't coach fat people, he coaches big athletes.
I love it. That's what we are.
3 offensive linemen in this class. We'll talk a little bit more about offensive linemen as well with one. But before we do that, let's take a look back at what the offensive line did for Ball State this past year in blocking for one of the most prolific running backs in Cardinals history.
Your offensive line is starting to get tuned up now, and there are holes all across the front. And when he gets the football and has a crease, there is no hesitation.
Coach is putting me in a position to be successful, and I'm just taking advantage of it.
Well, James is a great player. It gives us all the confidence in the world having him back there behind us.
Like James's game when he ran for 264 yards as an offensive lineman, there's nothing really better than running the ball.
I really feel like it's like high school all over again. Like I'm just feeling my rhythm, like just cut back or take it up the middle. I got the freedom to do whatever.
It's just an attitude to know that we're going to run the ball and we're going to see if they can stop us.
I like the power play a lot too. Pat Maloney, he say like follow me, I'll get you through there. So I like to run behind him a lot. Vinny, he's a center. I can count on him to get the block and make a cut off his butt or whatever. So I like them type of plays.
Having a back like James running the ball, he can really, he can make you right a lot of the time. Having that confidence to know that you're going to give the best effort you can that play. You might mess up, but he might have your back on that play.
I bring like a swagger and like confidence, like I'm just gonna get the job done. You can count on me, give me the ball 20, 30 times, I'm gonna get the job done.
Broken tackle, leads to a touchdown for Ball State.
It's always good to write your goals down on paper. I just want to prove people wrong. Like, it don't matter what school you go to, you can achieve any of your goals, like any level. I take pride in that.
Needles his way between the right guard and tackle, untouched for a touchdown.
Gilbert gives the Cardinals the lead. Can they catch him? James Gilbert goes to the house.
Welcome back with Ball State center Vinny Palazzetti. I'm Connor Onion. Vinny, you said your signing day was a little bit boring. Why would it be characterized as boring when you signed with Ball State?
It was just waking up a little early, having breakfast with my parents, and we just signed the papers, and my mom took them to the office, so never made a video, never did a hat exchange. So
no big TV appearances or anything like this?
No, none of this. No. So, but just low-key, but it was nice.
How have you evolved as a football player since the time you signed as a senior in high school?
Well, college football will really bring the best out of you if you let it, and gives you a lot of discipline, makes you turn into a man pretty quickly with all the structure that it brings. So, I mean, college football has made me a better person, and just overall couldn't be happier.
When you signed a couple years ago and you talked to your family, talked to your friends, they're all congratulating you. What did your parents say to you when they found out that your college was going to be paid for?
They were pretty excited. Ball State was actually my first offer. And when I went home, my dad was a college football player, and they couldn't be happier, really. I mean, what parent doesn't love to hear that?
Mm-hmm. You got a couple of young guys coming in that we put up on the board here, Curtis Blackwell and Jake McKenzie. You were instrumental in recruiting both of those guys. Jake McKenzie actually on campus now. Yeah. What can a guy like Jake add to a program immediately? And the fact that he is taking a step and he's here already is probably impressive for you older guys.
Yeah, well, there's a couple of good things that come out of coming in early, and you just get the experience just coming right into it. The game is a lot faster than high school, and coming in and having those practices really just steps up your game. And then also the fact of getting the learning for the coaching from Kyle DeVan and the whole system just is really instrumental in becoming as good of a player and helping out the team as soon as you can.
You're with Ball State center Vinny Palazzetti here on signing day, and then the other guy, Curtis Blackwell. You said you actually know his family pretty well. What will he add when he comes to campus here?
Well, Curtis is a big guy. He's got a great family. I met both of his parents many times. They'll get here during the summer, and we'll be able to see more what they're about when they get here. And I just can't wait to get started.
Well, we'll hold off on the future for a little bit, and let's talk about next year's team. You guys returned 4 starters. A little bit of a young offensive line last year. You made the position change from guard to center. Now that you guys have a year under your belt and have some camaraderie, how much will that help the offensive production?
Well, everyone was saying at the beginning of camp last year that we were the big question mark on the team, and especially on the offense. And I think we kind of proved to everybody that it doesn't really matter who has all the starts. It doesn't really matter what you've done in the past. It just matters what you're going to do that game. And having 4 guys back is great, but everybody practices, everybody has the experience, and we're just looking to get better every day at practice and then perform on game day.
Now, offensive linemen love run blocking, and we saw James Gilbert rack up a ton of yards this year. How rewarding is that for you as an offensive lineman to get that push and see a guy have that success?
Well, yeah, you don't play football if you don't like to hit people, and running off the ball and hitting people has been a lot of fun this year. And when you hit someone and then James runs past you, runs behind you for 6, 7, 8 yards, there's really not a better feeling than seeing that guy and being friends with him and seeing him run the ball.
And let's talk about some of the fun that you guys had this year with Coach DeVan. He could barely get through his interview without looking over here and laughing at you. What kind of atmosphere is it like in practice when you have a jovial guy like Coach DeVan coaching you in individual drills?
Well, he's a jovial guy, but practice is a time to get work done, and he's intense in practice, and he definitely he lets you know when you've done something wrong, and you have to have that in a coach. You get to have a good relationship with someone as you get to know them, but it's really important that when you hit the practice field that they can tell you what you did wrong and that you need to get better.
Is it a good balance between work and fun with him?
Yeah, it's a good balance. We have fun when we need to, and we get our work done when we need to.
He share any of his dance moves with you?
Well, he's only got one, and he's still got to get a little work on it.
Well, you got a little time before next season to work on it. Thanks a lot, Vinny.
No problem.
Joel, Peter.
Guys, thanks a lot. I love that quote, by the way. That's the quote of the day. You don't play football if you don't like to hit people.
True. That's a fact. And apparently he likes to dance as well.
That's also true. We knew that, though. Let's take another timeout, though. Much more Signing Day Live coming up your way. We've got 5 more signees, and we're going to talk some offense. OC Joey Lynch will be back in the house with us, and I get the full breakdown of the Cardinals' offensive lineup to date. Much more Signing Day Live from the Shoe. So certainly a good bloodline and lineage there for young Christian Albright.
Joe, will stay in the South, go to Rummel, Louisiana, where Shaheed Reese lives. He's a linebacker, 6'1", 220 pounds. And you talk about productive. This dude was productive as a football player in high school. 85 tackles as a senior. That included 5 sacks. He had 3 interceptions, 1 touchdown, over 200 career tackles. His team went to the state championship and was a runner-up. He was named to the all-district team as well, and he'll be a sports administration major here when he steps on campus at Ball State.
And Myers Von Miller, you like that as an idol. Marquise Hurt is the second running back we have announced. He joins Huntley, who we announced as the second guy in this class. Marquise Hurt Jr. out of Michigan City here in Indiana. New head coach as a high school senior, started to shop him around a little bit more. His recruiting picked up. The Cardinals able to nab him out from a bunch of schools that had interest. A 4.5 40-yard dash. How about this? His junior year of high school, his team went 2-7. His senior year, they went 7-4. A guy who knows how to help turn things around and put some W's on the board. His cousin played football at Indiana, so he's got some good bloodlines in there as well. Marquise Hurt Jr.
Another linebacker now, another guy from Georgia, Alatoona, Georgia, Michael Robinson, 6'1", 205 pounds. He had a ton of offers, some of which included Appalachian State, Buffalo, Chattanooga, Georgia Southern, Indiana, Kent State. I mean, the guy had a ton of offers, dozens of them. Played football and lacrosse.
I didn't know they played lacrosse in Georgia.
In high school.
Fan.
I mean, usually with these recruits, you might see football, basketball, football, baseball. You don't often see football and lacrosse, but he's got that on his resume. 108 tackles as a senior, so another productive guy. 138 as a junior. He had 6 sacks last year, 14 in his career, and he won a state title while playing down in Georgia as well.
So Michael Robinson, another name added to the list here for the Cardinals. Zach Haynes is the last one in this block, a defensive end, 6'3", 260 pounds, a little more local, out of South Warren, Kentucky. Louisville Courier-Journal first team All-State this past year. 55 tackles, 15 of those are TFLs as a senior. We talked about offers for certain guys, service academies earlier in the class. Army and Navy both offered Zach Haynes. So when it comes to character, you know you're getting a great guy. And then Appalachian State, another one of his D1 offers. Other schools interested in the defensive lineman out of Kentucky. So that's where we are at right now for the Cardinals class. Still a few more names to be announced. However, we're going to talk about the offensive names we have announced with Joey Lynch. He joins us. No quarterback in this class for you, but you have no shortage of skill position players for Riley Neal to play with. You like this group?
Yeah, we do. You know, we set out in this class, we wanted to just create more competition in all the skill positions. And when you look at our class and who we're going to sign, we're definitely going to upgrade our skill level. And we really believe competition brings the best in everybody. So really excited about the class that we brought in so far.
The receivers specifically, you've got 5 of them coming in, and obviously you lost a guy like Kevon Maybon and a couple of other guys with the class that graduated in 2016. So having to fill some holes there, and what excites you the most about the group of receivers you're bringing in?
Yeah, you know, all 5 of them can really play. Of course, we're excited about that, but when you look at their skill sets, they're all a little bit different. And when you talk about bringing in, 5 guys and kind of completing your receiver roster, you don't want to have all the same guys. So you look at someone like Justin Gibbs, who's a bigger body kid, 6'2", 208 pounds, can really high point the ball, be physical, really physical in the run game. And then you go to someone like Justin Hall, who is a true slot receiver that can make all the plays, get them the ball different ways. So, all those guys are going to fill a need and do something different for our offense. And, you can never have enough playmakers. And there's no question, I think, with those 5 guys, we got everything covered.
We say this with one running back name still expected to be announced in this class as well, but we'll address the guys that we can talk about so far to this point. You've got Caleb Huntley, who is not a running back. He's a Mack truck, in addition to Marquise Hurt, who we just introduced as well. Describe the dynamics of that room now, because you lose Teddy Williamson, but you bring back James Gilbert, first-team all-conference running back. A lot that we saw, obviously, in the career of Darian Green. You've got a really good room. How does all of that mesh together now, and are there enough balls to go around as far as handoffs and guys that could contribute early to make that interesting?
Yeah, no question. And once again, competition makes us all better. And we're not afraid to play with different personnel. At times this year we were in 30 personnel. And you said it, of course, James Gilbert is a great football player, and we expect him to keep getting better and better. And Darian Green's made a ton of plays for us. And then Malik Dunner's a young guy that we're very, very high on. But when you look at the guys we're going to bring in this class, of course, with Caleb already signed this morning and Marquise, they're totally different. right away, Caleb just brings that big physical presence that we were set out for in this class. That when we said we're going to go find the best football players, the one thing we definitely were going to do is get that big back. And there's no question Caleb fits that need. And then Marquise is a kid that came to camp, and he showed us. And he is that Darian Green mode that can run the football but can play in the slot. Really, really explosive. Did an unbelievable job for us at camp, and we knew right then that he was a guy that was going to make us better in our program. So really, really excited about that. And there's no question that room has a bunch of talented kids, but that's a good thing for Ball State.
If we talk about another individual here, go back to the receivers if we can. You look at a guy like Khalil Newton, and I know recruiting rankings aren't everything, but it's always good to get a guy who's as highly rated as he is amongst the top in your class in those rankings. What's the scout on him, and I guess what excites you most about what he could bring to the table? Clearly a guy with a lot of talent.
Yeah, he's one of those guys that can really do anything, in our opinion. You see him on tape, and he can run away from you with his speed. He has great ball skills, can high point the football, has a little shake, can play in the slot, can play outside. He's just one of those guys that is going to make a lot of plays for us down the road, and that's kind of what I was talking about. I threw out Justin Gibbs being our biggest receiver, and Justin Hall being our smallest, and Hassan Littles and Ethan Merriweather. All those guys are bring something to the table, and there's no question. I've been here a long, long time, and this is a class from a skill position point on offense that I think it's the best we've ever brought in.
Joey, thank you, man.
No problem.
Cardinals offensive coordinator Joey Lynch joining us here on set. Quickly, if you want to keep track of all of the recruits in this class, you can follow Ball State football on social media as well. You can follow Ball State sports on social media, on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook, everything Ball State FB, or if you're on Facebook, Ball State football as well. You can see the information down on the bottom of the screen. But for us to keep track of all of the recruits here on set, that's why we have the big board. That's why we have Connor and Corey.
I was about to say, Joel, don't shortchange us with our big board over here and keeping track of everything. We did some housekeeping, got my straight edge out, and we straightened things up over here on the big board. Corey, let's take a look at some defensive guys first. David Ruth is a linebacker that you feel is a little bit underrated.
Yeah, I definitely think so. He's lower in on this class of Ball State recruits, but when you watch him, he pops out on film. It's instinctual ability. He clearly scouts players, scouts opponents, and has that intelligence to really make plays and a lot of tackles for loss on his film.
Don't forget about the special teams guys as well. Kyle Schmidt, the four-year punter for Ball State, he graduated, so Ball State brings in a punter, and Nathan Snyder.
Yeah, he's a former quarterback in high school too, so it'll be interesting to see in his 4
maybe
years if Mike New maybe has some trick plays up his sleeve. But I think Nathan Snyder, not only a former quarterback in trick plays, but he can boot the ball a long way. 55-yard punt on his film.
An area of need with Martez Hester gone is defensive back. They bring in Bryce Cosby, who's a guy with good ball skills.
Yeah, he can really high point the football and had 5 interceptions his senior year. I really like what he did at the point of attack, going up and getting the ball against these wide receivers.
And on the offensive line, we talked about him a little bit with Vinny Palazetti. Jake McKenzie, a guy that's already here on campus.
Yeah, Jake McKenzie, he's a really lateral guy. He can pull out, and he's versatile around the offensive line. Played right tackle, left tackle, and both guard positions. So I think he may be a guard in college, but it'll have to be he'll have to get into this coaching staff and see what they think he is. But he brings that versatility, which you always like.
Go back on the defensive side of the ball, on the defensive backfield. Our second guy up on the board in that position is Miles Hanna.
Yeah, Miles Hanna. Big body once again as a cornerback, and all these cornerbacks, you see their great ball skills. That's why they're playing at the next level, and so he's really good at the point of attack, going up. Not all interceptions, but he's great at knocking the ball away if he doesn't get an interception.
And another offensive lineman, Curtis Blackwell.
Curtis Blackwell, I mean, we've already mentioned him. He's the second recruit in this Ball State recruiting class, very versatile, gets out and pulls as an offensive tackle.
And the brother of Ball State pitcher is, where's he at? Linebacker Brock Burns.
Brock Burns, he played safety at Hamilton Southeastern, a local school in the Indianapolis area. He played safety. He definitely comes up and hits, though. That's why I think he projects as a linebacker at the next level and has the body. He stands, I believe, at 6'3". So he can come up and make a difference as a linebacker if they put some extra muscle on him.
Haven't talked about the defensive lineman yet. Christian Albright is great at reading screens when you watch him on film.
Yeah, he really is, and that shows you his instinctual ability. Not only just does he rush the passer, but he can also drop back and create some big plays, interceptions even, and some big hits on a running back when they try to go out and trick the defense on a screenplay.
And Corey, we talked about the stable of backs for Ball State. At running back last year with Darian Green, Teddy Williamson, and James Gilbert. They get even deeper here with Marquise Hurt.
Yeah, we already talked about Caleb Huntley, who's the other name, but Marquise Hurt is a different style of runner. He's 5'9", but he presents speed. You saw in a graphic just not too long ago, 4.5 40. That presents speed at the next level, and he can definitely get out on the edges.
Ball State graduated a guy in Zach Ryan who played a lot of snaps for Ball State at linebacker. Michael Robinson, only 6'1", 205, but they can put some beef on him, and he's kind of a guy that can correlate to a guy like Zach Ryan.
Yeah, exactly. He's a guy that comes in very small framed, but if they can put some muscle on him, he's fast at that small range. So he can he's really a rangy linebacker that can cover both sidelines.
There's a reason there are 5 guys underneath this position right here because all 3 starting linebackers gone. Another guy at linebacker, Shaheed Reese.
Yeah, Shaheed Reese, another guy at linebacker, but he is the typical old school linebacker, has the neck collar on him in the high school tape, and he will just come down, hit you. There's no secret to his game. He's a run-stopping linebacker, but he also showed coverage skills when the running back came out of the backfield.
We're not done here on the big board. We'll have more coming up throughout the morning. Back to Joel and Peter.
Thank you, guys. You mentioned the linebacker graduation. Stu Stanley also as well, leaving the class. He graduated this past year, so the top 4 linebackers gone, so obviously a huge need for the Cardinals. We will talk a lot about linebackers on the other side of this next time out, though. Johnny Curtis will join us. Break down the Cardinals core after this on Signing Day Live.
Welcome back to National Signing Day here on the campus of Ball State University. Signings still coming in. We have a few more to announce, but first just an update from the War Room here as we take a look at the coaching staff and some other personnel for Ball State University. Definitely a fun atmosphere in here because obviously it's their recruits. A lot of signings today, and there are a lot of high fives going on here, a lot of laughs, a lot of Twitter updates to check on some of those more signings, but definitely some still rolling in, and the War Room, a fun atmosphere in here. Back to you guys, Joel and Peter.
Corey, thank you. Let's throw another name into the bucket for this Ball State recruiting class, and it's Malcolm Lee, the linebacker, 6'2", 180 pounds, out of Baker, Alabama. He's going to be the first Ball State player from Alabama in at least a decade. Cardinals were his first offer. He played some corner, played some safety in high school. He was an all-county selection in 2015. He had an offer from Troy, in-state school down in Alabama, Sun Belt school, like-minded opponent for Ball State. So the Cardinals beat out another really good Group of 5 program to get the services of Malcolm Lee, who rounds out a 6-member linebacker recruiting class. And with that being said, we are joined on set by Johnny Curtis. Let's talk some linebackers. Before we do that, though, had you ever met Ponit Uta before? He went to John Curtis Christian. I don't know if there's a relation.
Absolutely. He was, I met Ponit and his family in the 8th grade. His family moved in from Shreveport, and it's kind of interesting because the Polynesian community in Louisiana is not very high. But he came in, and his family is both ministers, his mother and his father, and he fit in really good. And I think it was just a great get for us in Louisiana. Big offensive lineman. I think the upside for him is tremendous. He's 308 pounds right now, but I wouldn't be surprised that he plays at the end of the day at about 320.
For obvious reasons, John Curtis Christian, very close to your heart. So for you to be able to go back there and to recruit a guy and get a guy who attends that school, what was that experience like for you?
Oh, it's exciting because, over the last 20 years, we've had an opportunity to put kids out at different universities. And now to have one at Ball State just really, it's exciting, it's uplifting. And, again, the Louisiana connection is going to be special to me and hopefully special to Ball State here in the near future.
A really good recruiting class when it comes to Louisiana kids for you. Let's talk linebackers, though. Yeah. Who's going to play?
Oh, gosh. You know what, though? I mean, believe me, we lost 4 guys last year and lost, some really, really good players. And I think that was our I guess, mantra right here with the linebacking group as we've gone through the country and recruited these guys. Some guys from the South, some a little bit closer like Brock Burns, and just trying to get guys that can fill the role of all-conference players such as LaShawn Wiggins and Zach Ryan, and of course Aaron Taylor gave us had a great year this year along with backup Stu Stanley. So we're going to have to replace a lot of guys, and we use that as a springboard in the recruiting process to recruit guys that maybe normally we wouldn't have got. But we've got them now, and we're ready to kind of plug and play and see how it works out here coming in the fall.
I was going to say, how much are you pitching that? Obviously, you lose your top 4 linebackers and guys who were all conference caliber players. How much are you pitching? We've got holes to fill. Come here, and if you impress us, you can play as a freshman.
Well, that's a big deal anywhere you go in college football, but even more so here at Ball State. What our idea, I guess you would say, on the defensive side is to make sure we have 9 linebackers available to play at any time, not just for the linebacker on the defensive side, but also with Coach Doherty on the special teams, and that plays a huge role. So for some guys to come in here and step in and have an opportunity to play at the Division I level, and of course our goal is to get to Detroit and be in the MAC championship. That's a big thing to get these guys in the signing class.
Let's talk about some of these guys. I want to start local if we can. Tell me about Brock Burns and what he brings to the table. Safety, so is he kind of a runner-hitter guy coming down to play linebacker?
Well, we just see huge growth potential in Brock. And 6'4", right now he's 202 pounds. We think that he's going to be about a 215 to 18 hybrid player, a guy that can play both in the box and out the box. In our conference, in the MAC conference, the ball gets tossed around quite a bit. So we need those flexible players. So we're excited about his growth potential and his ability to hit and cover guys.
You look at another guy from Louisiana, Shaheed Reese. I mean, production kind of jumps out at you when you look at his stats from his junior and senior year. What excites you about his future, and what stood out to you when you were recruiting him?
Well, he's the prototypical Mike linebacker. Unfortunately and fortunately, he came from a team that played against our program at John Curtis. I know the caliber of teams that he's playing against, and when you can play those types of teams week in, week out with the speed and the talent that Louisiana brings, I think he brings a huge factor into our program, especially in controlling the middle of that Mike linebacker spot.
Jimmy Dahl was a running back in high school. He was also a linebacker, though. Why is he a linebacker in college?
Best available athlete, long, rangy. Probably didn't get as many looks at the running back. So as I continue to evaluate his tape, I thought he showed a tremendous amount of speed, some toughness. He has great flexibility, good hips. So I just thought kind of like a Brock Burns type guy. He's probably a little bit bigger than Brock in terms of weight, probably at 220 right now. So, he may grow into an inside linebacker before it's all said and done.
You guys obviously, as a defense, have a certain style you want to play here. You want to be aggressive. When you're looking and you're evaluating linebackers at the high school level, what kind of traits, characteristics on the field are you looking for, just in general?
Well, first, I think you got to look for instincts. Do they have the ability to instinctually grasp concepts and what they see? Second thing is obviously change of directions. Can they change directions in short spaces? Thirdly, can they be physical? How physical are they going to be in the box? Can they make tackles? Are they good tacklers? And I think the last thing there is, and the piece of the puzzle is their intellectual capacity and how they get along with their teammates.
Johnny, thank you, man. Congratulations on this class.
Oh, man, we're excited, man. We're fired up here at Ball State.
Johnny Curtis, Ball State Cardinals linebackers coach, 6 linebackers here for Ball State. But there are more guys in this class, so Peter, let's dig back into it. And let's start on the defensive side, but let's move up. Let's go to the line, defensive end. And this is a guy whose name is going to sound familiar. Not Jordan Williams-Lambert, just Jordan Williams. Former wide receiver has passed his name on to the new defensive end. 6'4", 235 pounds. He's out of Centennial in Illinois. Found an anecdote in the newspaper. One of his high school teammates said he was like a 60-year-old 5-year-old. So you talk about maturity.
I don't know what that means.
He's a mature guy. He's a mature guy with a still growing body. Played a lot of wide receiver as well in high school. Played basketball. Played baseball. He hit 340 and had a 150 ERA. So here's a guy that can do a lot of different things for the Cardinals. And again, no relation to former Ball State wide receiver Jordan Williams.
Back to the defensive backfield, and you talk about a guy who played at a high school football power. Demetrius Murray out of Grayson, Georgia, and Grayson High School. School was ranked #1 public school in the nation, #6 overall by Max Preps this year. He was originally committed to Fresno State, flipped to Ball State in early December. He had an offer from Oregon State as well. He's one of just 6. That's minimum going Division I from his school this year. Tells you the kind of talent that he's playing with. He's related to Corey Hall, who made a huge impact as a safety here. So if Demetrius Murray is any kind of player that Corey Hall was, the Cardinals have gotten a good one. Played free safety in high school. And again, Joel played at one of the best high schools football-wise in all the country.
Antonio Phillips is from Kirkwood, Missouri. He's a defensive back, all 6 foot, 175 pounds of him. 9 career interceptions, 139 tackles. Let's talk about bloodlines for a second. Marcus Golden from the Arizona Cardinals. You might know him if you play defensive fantasy football. Some teams do. And 12.5 sacks last year. That's pretty darn good, especially at that level. So that's the same bloodline for Antonio Phillips. His dad also played football at Illinois. All-State's second team by the Springfield News Leader out of Kirkwood, Missouri.
Another very, very talented defensive back, one of my favorite names in the class, Varenzo Holmes out of Grovetown, Georgia. 6 feet tall, 180 pounds, had a dozen offers plus coming out of high school, Southern Miss, Ohio, Middle Tennessee, Western Kentucky. Some of the schools that the Cardinals beat out to get this guy. Played wide receiver, also returned kicks, had 70 tackles as a senior, 5 tackles for loss, a couple of sacks, 16 pass breakups. That's like 1.5 per game. Productive dude, Varenzo Holmes.
Not too shabby. One more to announce here as well, and that's Brett Anderson. We keep it in the defensive backfield. Here's a guy that committed in June of 2016. So the Cardinals have had Brett Anderson on their list for a while. Broke his arm in a preseason scrimmage as a junior and played for 5 games. 6 career interceptions. He had 5 tackles and a pick as a senior in some limited action as well, coming back from a lower body injury. But Brett Anderson brings some incredible size and some incredible athleticism to the defensive backfield. You see some of the notable offers as well. Anytime he beat out a MAC school, he beat out an Ivy League school in Columbia, Brett Anderson is added to the list. All right, we welcome you back here on set, and we're joined by Keith McKenzie, former Cardinals defensive end. Your record is still intact, by the way. We know Anthony Winbush continually has said he wants to come after your sacks record, but he is still the career leader in sacks for now. And the Cardinals D-line coach, welcome.
Thanks for having me.
How's this class look to you?
Looking really good, really good. We got some good players on both sides of the ball, offense and defensively, and very excited about this class coming in.
Tell me about the defensive line in particular. Let's start, we'll go alphabetically. Christian Albright, why did you like him, and what does he give you?
Oh, man, Christian is a very explosive player, long, athletic, great change of direction, gets after the quarterback, and also plays the run. Comes from a great family and comes from a great football program down in Georgia, so he was a no-brainer. You know, he was a great get, and I'm happy to have this guy here.
And Zach Haynes.
Oh, man, Zach is probably the most versatile of all those guys. He can play inside, outside, tough in the run, great pass rusher, very athletic kid.
Can we just talk about that pick by Christian Albright for a second there? On that, it was like a 2-inch from the quarterback interception. But here's the Zach Haynes footage. I hadn't seen that clip yet.
Pretty athletic, and speaking of pretty athletic, Jordan Williams, guy who plays 3 sports in high school, but clearly a guy who has some versatility, some agility. What excites you about his future?
And Jordan came and worked out for us, and the change of direction, the speed, and all the things he showed at when he worked out for us was very eye-opening. And I was just, Coach came up to me, asked me what I thought about him. I was like, he is a no-brainer. You know, that size, that athletic ability, and what he's going to give us on the D-line is going to be awesome.
What are you selling to guys, too, in the defensive line? You know, we've talked to a couple of coaches about playing time early. There have been a couple of spots where defensive backfield, linebacker in particular, where there are some holes due to graduation. You've got a pretty sure front in the defensive line. Obviously, you lose Posley, but you got a lot of guys back. What's the pitch to guys? Because they've got to come in and earn playing time a little bit, but they've got a lot of talent, too, so it makes it a difficult decision for you as a coach.
The big sell was the fact that they could come in, again, they could earn playing time. And I showed them that, hey, you know, a guy like Chris Crum came in as a freshman and played right away.
Significantly, yeah.
And if those guys do what we ask and they take care of the academic piece and they work hard, they can get on the field. And but it's going to be deep. And I told them it's going to be competition out there. So, and what it does is open up the competition and lets the older guys know that, hey, you got some young guys on their heels and they got to come out and they got to work to stay on the field.
You guys were obviously able to get quite a few pretty talented pass rushers. At times last year, you were amongst the top in the nation in sacks and getting to the quarterback. How much is that a recruiting piece for you as well? Hey, come here. We've gotten after the quarterback before. come be a part of that?
Yeah, it's a big piece, and then those guys, I give credit to the guys that are here. They make it possible for us to go after the guys like that because they get on the field and they do get after the quarterback, and they make me look good. So, and that's a big selling point here. That we have got after the quarterback. The production has increased from a year ago to where it is now. So we're going to continue to work to keep that production going up and continue to get after the quarterback, shut down the run, and just be a dominant front here in the MAC Conference.
Keith, thanks. Congratulations on the class.
Thank you.
Keith McKenzie joining us here. Super Bowl champion, by the way, too. We got to add that in, the superlatives to continue on here. Signing Day Live also continues on. We've got another name to announce eventually here and some more assistant coaches to talk about, to talk to or about. Signing Day Live rolls on here in Muncie. Football complex, and to keep track of everything, it's a lot of names. Big board time with Corey and Co.
We got 6 more names. Looking at the DBs, Corey, we named 3 last time, 3 more. Chevis Jackson's been busy this offseason recruiting down in the South and also with his defensive backs.
Yeah, and it's a place that Ball State struggled a little bit, but I don't know if necessarily all these players are going to play right away, but you definitely want to create competition at any position you bring out. I really like Varenzo Holmes. He had interest from some big programs. National champion Clemson even had interest in this guy at defensive back, so that's a big name. Antonio Phillips is a big-time get as well. He does a great job of pushing wide receivers to the boundary, which is really an underrated skill as a defensive back.
Martez Hester and Corey Hall gone in the defensive backfield. We mentioned the vacancies left at linebacker. Aaron Taylor, the Sam linebacker, one of those. Malcolm Lee, he's wearing number 7 here in this picture, reminds you of the former number 7 Aaron Taylor.
Yeah, very interesting that he's wearing number 7. I was watching his film and it just really reminded me of Aaron Taylor. He's a guy that has the same frame coming out of high school as Taylor did. He's moving down from a safety position down to a linebacker position and can really run. He'll play in between that nickel corner position and also come down from safety to linebacker.
In an age where a lot of guys have a social media blueprint, they have their huddle highlights out there, they're all over Twitter announcing who's offering, where they've committed. Jordan Williams didn't really have that. He's flying under the radar a little bit.
Yeah, exactly. I couldn't really find that much on Jordan Williams, but you heard Keith McKenzie talking about him, came in, worked out. They loved his size and they loved his athleticism for that 6'4", 235 frame. I think if they can put more muscle on him, he could be a replacement for maybe Joshua Posley, who's leaving this program as well.
Johnny Curtis, the linebackers coach, went to his grassroots down in Louisiana, John Curtis High School. They get a good offensive lineman in Ponitu Uta.
Yeah, he played defensive tackle as well in high school, so you can see the versatility, and also he's great with his hands. He loves that rip move, slaps people to the side, and does a great job of knowing what the play is and getting these guys to just get where he wants them to go.
Guys, how have I done? A little bit more organized up here than the first time around?
We'll give you the interior design skill. Where the spacing, I think, is much better this time.
Getting better as we
baby steps. Yeah. Baby steps. We're joined by Chevis Jackson now on set, defensive backs coach for the Cardinals, and also recruiting extraordinaire. Welcome to the world of hauling in the classes, man. This has been a big group for you.
Nah, I mean, just go down there, make sure, you make the connections with the people that you need to make. And like I said, it was a team effort, Bailey came down there, with the receivers. You had Coach Curtis, with the D linemen and the linebackers and everything like that. So like I said, we all put in the effort, we all down there. We all doing a good job with it. Coach New does a great job, talking to the prospects and everything like that. So like I said, it was a team effort.
What is it like establishing that footprint, going to a place like Georgia? And obviously you had a couple of Georgia kids on this team last year, but getting the name Ball State into schools and getting kids interested and then kind of seeing that grab hold to get, 10 Georgia guys in this class?
Right. I think it's big, just going down there, like you said, Ball State wasn't, real big down there, but just going down there now, we're out there now. Everybody knows Ball State. They see us, that we're very visible down there right now, so it's real good.
Obviously, you're big with the Georgia kids. How much do guys like Aaron Taylor, Martez Hester, Corey Hall help with recruiting guys like that, guys who have come to Muncie from Atlanta, from places in Georgia, and had really successful careers?
It's big, Like you said, we go down there, we play Georgia State first game, all their families there. You know, as Aaron Taylor and then Corey, you know, they're coming up, Martez, they all coming up here making plays for us, you know, play a big role for us on defense. So it helped a lot, you know what I'm saying? The guys from Georgia, they see that, and, you know, they want to be a part of something special.
Let's talk about some of the guys in the defensive backfield you've got in particular. I want to start with Renzo Holmes. We heard Corey talking about the guys that were on his recruiting trail.
Right.
How'd you pluck him here up north?
Oh, man, you know, Lorenzo, he's a good kid. You know, we have fun. We talk to each other all the time. And he actually wanted to play me in Madden. Played him in Madden. You know, I beat him, of course. But, you know, Lorenzo comes from a good family. He's a hard worker. You know, he's long. I think he's probably one of the fastest in our class right now. So, you know, he's going to be a big help to us this year on that corner spot.
You look at a guy like Demetrius Murray, who's going to play safety for you, plays at one of the best high school programs in all the nation at Grayson. What stuck out to you? Obviously, he's playing with a lot of talent down there.
Right.
What stuck out to you when you recruited him?
You know, that school, they're going to pump him out, you know what I'm saying? Him, you know, he's long, he's physical, he can cover a lot of ground. You know, it helped with Corey Hall being his cousin and everything like that. So, you know, him knowing about it, Corey talking to him about it, you know, it was a big, you know, I just felt like just everything fell into place, you know, and it worked out good for us.
Talk to me about going to Stevenson High School in particular. You got 3 out of 1 school, but in your case, you get Miles Hanna at your position group.
Right. Like Bailey said earlier, you know, Hassan was the first, and, you know, he talks to Miles, you know, and then I talked to Miles, and, you know what I'm saying, it was just like a domino effect, and it helped us out in the end. You know, those guys, they network a lot down there. They're on Twitter. They're hitting each other up. So like I said, that whole Georgia area is just a big family atmosphere, and they do a good job with helping us recruit, so it makes it easy for us.
What's Miles do for you?
Miles, he does a lot for us. He gives us that length on the outside. You know, he's long, he's physical, he's athletic, great ball skills. So, you know what I'm saying, he's going to help us a lot.
If we can talk about a non-Georgia guy for just a minute, a guy, Antonio Phillips from Missouri. You look at his career production, 139 tackles, 9 interceptions, so clearly a guy who has shown he can do it on the field. What do you envision his role being here in Muncie?
Like all the guys, they're very versatile. You know, he played corner, he played safety, along with just about everybody in the secondary. So they give us a lot of leverage in what we want to play him, how we want to mix them up and put them out there. But, you know, like I said, he's a long guy, as all our DBs that's coming in this class, and it's going to help us out on the edges and, you know, at safety or whatever we need him as.
Tell me about Brett Anderson, guy that was hurt, comes back in. Seems like he's got some really good ball skills, some really good athleticism.
Yeah, Brett also, another one. He played corner, and I think we saw him at the Sound Body Camp. He did a great job playing safety for him. His quickness, his technique, he's a competitor, and that's what I like about him. You know, he goes out there, he competes. He's very smart, cerebral in the game. He's a good player for us, good get.
You've talked a lot about length in terms of what you're looking for in recruits. How important is that in a defense, in terms of when you're playing against a defense, how that makes it difficult for the opponent?
I think it's very important. You know, Bailey bringing in 6'3" receivers, and, you know, we need that length on the outside. So, you know, just competing at practice, you know, he's, you know, long arms, athletic, jump ball. You know what I'm saying? You're going against 6'4" receivers, 6'3" receivers, you're going to need that length on the outside. And I think it's going to help us a lot this year in the defense.
Who are we leaving out here? Bryce Cosby, we got to get to. I feel like we have a laundry list.
Right.
That's a good problem to have.
Right,
Tell me about Bryce.
Bryce is another good one. Like you said, he's been around the game his whole life. His father played at Louisville. He comes from a great family. His mom, his aunt. You know, he's a good kid. 14 career interceptions at Manual. Pat did a great job, you know, going in there, helping us out with him. And, you know, I was just the finishing touch. But, you know, like I said, we're just out, you know, trying to get the best of the best wherever they are. And I think we did a good job with this class.
Talk to us about your position group as well at this moment. Obviously, Tyree graduates at one corner spot, who was a starter at the beginning of the season. You lose Martez, you lose Corey, so there's a lot of questions at safety. You bring back Mark, you bring back Josh, you bring back David at corner. Certainly Mitch Larson is a guy that played a lot at safety for you. Lamar Anderson played a lot as the year went on. But what's the competition going to be like, especially when you get to fall camp with all of this young blood interjected?
It's going to be a lot of competition. That's good. Iron sharpens iron. So I'm looking forward to it. The cream rises to the top, so we'll see what happens.
It's always fun watching you coach them up. So this will be a really fun couple of weeks when we get to August.
All right.
Intensity is never lacking with Chevis.
No, I've said it on the radio. I would pay a ticket not to watch a football game, but just to watch Chevis coach a football game. Appreciate the time, Coach.
I appreciate it.
Chevis Jackson, Cardinals DBs coach, joining us here. Take a look at what's coming up for the basketball slate for the Cardinals. That's Friday night at 9 o'clock. They'll take on Buffalo, 9 p.m. on ESPNU. Come on out and see the Cardinals on national television. It's the Bulls and Ball State coming up on Friday night. Your coverage will be right here on ESPN3 for that broadcast as well, but also nationally on ESPNU. And then locally you can find it on radio on WLBC to boot. Take another time out as we roll on, though, with our National Signing Day coverage. It's Ball State Football National Signing Day Live here in Muncie. The festivities are just underway for National Signing Day. National Signing Day Live coming toward its conclusion, but the Signing Day party, well, that's tonight. 5:30, doors open at the Alumni Center here on campus in Muncie. The event will begin at 6:15. Talking all about the recruits. You'll hear from every coach about every single recruit. There are heavy hors d'oeuvres, which, I'll be honest, have to include pigs in a blanket. That just seems to go hand in hand. Let's go to Connor Onion, our favorite pig in a blanket. That's all I got, man.
I'm not sure about the pig in the blanket part. That's not me. But maybe call me a pig. Maybe I'll be there tonight eating. But I'm here with running backs coach Kevin Lynch. Coach, how are you feeling about this class overall?
Very good. A lot of guys have said the same thing, but we kind of went out and thought we had some needs we needed to get, and we were able to get everything we wanted, and got some really good football players.
Let's talk about the few guys that you have at your position. Of course, you have a couple guys coming back, James Gilbert, an all-MAC player, but
yes.
Also with the future here with Marquise Hurt. What can you tell me about him?
Yeah, speaking about what we already have in the building, we're really excited about what we have coming back, and hopefully those guys that have played a lot of football for us will show great leadership, and the guys coming in we feel really good about as well. Marquise Hurt's a guy, I know Joey said, that came to camp and showed us what he could do, can really run, explosive kid. I'm excited to do some different things with him. We kind of see him as a mold as the Darian Green that we already have in the program.
How do you sell guys like that when you already have so much here and tell them that, okay, one day you will get on the field?
Oh, I think, you can pop on our tape and you get to see them do some things. And, hey, this is where we see you fit. This is kind of what we think you can do for us. And it's nice for them to see it and go, yeah, I can see myself doing that.
Is that a good problem to have?
Absolutely. We've been talking about it. Competition is going to make everybody better. And I think things are looking good at my position for sure.
And then a bigger back, Caleb Huntley.
Yes.
How is he different from some of the backs that you already have?
Well, obviously, he's almost 230 pounds. He's a guy that has great feet, great vision, but also will lower his shoulder and get those tough yards. But very excited about him. Big back, really good athlete. He's not just a downhill runner. He can do some things as you watch his tape. He's got really good feet, and really excited about Caleb Huntley.
With the guys you already have in the program with Darian and
Right.
James and Malik, what areas do you look at them this offseason and say, okay, we need to improve in this area and this area?
Sure. I think every day you got to get better. Coach says that all the time. Did you get better today? And I think a guy like you take James, for example, had the great season that he had. There's some things he definitely can improve. He needs to become a better pass blocker. He needs to become a better receiver out of the backfield. I'm pretty excited about him and, what he's going to bring to the table. A guy like Darian got nicked up a little bit this year, but, God, he's very, very, versatile. Pretty excited about him as well.
Coach, future's looking bright. Good luck.
Absolutely.
With running backs Kevin Lynch, back to Joel.
Connor, thank you. Kevin Lynch has a really good group to be excited about here. We'll have him stick around, too, for just a little bit, see if we don't go back over to him here over the next 11 minutes before we wrap up the Signing Day show. But we'll keep that feather in the back of our head as we roll on. Take a look at the conference schedule coming up here for the Cardinals. These are the games we know. We don't know when they are, but we know they'll happen. Those are the 4 at home. Those are the 4 on the road. And dates to be but it's the same slate the Cardinals saw last year.
Yeah, and certainly some challenging games on the schedule. Obviously, you go at Western Michigan, at Northern Illinois. Neither of those places are going to be easy to win, but Yeah, I think the Cardinals feel pretty good about how they stack up in the MAC. Lost their fair share of games last year, but a lot of them were really close, and they were right there, had a chance to win a lot.
The difference between Ball State was 4-8 at the end of the season. The difference between 3-9 and like 8-4.
Yeah.
I think I was thinking about it in my head. It was like 5 plays over the course of the entire season. That's how close this team is really to bursting through, and it'll be exciting to see how this class impacts that in 2017. Mike New is going to be with us on set, though, when we come on back, because we're going to put a bow on this thing for the Cardinals and talk all about the group that takes flight in 2017. Signing Day Live, putting the wraps on the 2017 Ball State football class. That'll be tonight at the Signing Day party again at the Ball State Alumni Center. The doors open up at 5:30. And a clarification, by the way, Connor telling us he is more a buffalo chicken wing
Not
kind of guy.
not a pig in a blanket.
Not a pig in a
guy.
blanket
Yeah.
kind of guy. But
I'm a pig in a blanket guy.
I'm a huge pig in a blanket kind of guy. And the falafel they have on campus is great as well. Mike New joins us. This is what you get with us.
Yeah, I wouldn't have it any other way. That's perfect. That's exactly what I want to hear from you guys.
That's what we pay him to say. Let's talk about your day. I know it's a really tense couple of hours when you get here. You're waiting for everything to come in. How much of a sigh of relief? How many times have you exhaled in the last 2 hours?
Well, it's a hurry up and wait game, but it is exciting because as we get the paperwork in, as everything becomes approved and official, nothing better than tweeting out a graphic on our players that are part of our program now, part of our family, sending them a text message to welcome them, obviously encourage them to finish strong, and the day will come very soon here where they'll be on campus and part of our family.
How exciting is it, too, now you finally get to wrap this class up and kind of get to focus on next season now, the 2017 season, and what will the next few weeks be like as you lead up to spring ball?
Well, it'll be great to be back into our building now and to be around our players that are in our program that are working very hard in the winter workout program. We'll start our preparations for spring practice. So that's right around the corner, here mid-March when we get back from spring break. That'll start very soon. So we'll start to make those preparations and be around our players because Coach Armour, Coach Fakes do a great job developing our young guys, and they work as hard as anybody, which is very exciting to have that.
We had you off the top. We talked in generalities. Let's get into some specifics of it. Obviously, you look at the way this class played out, there were some needs. You seem to have addressed a lot of those. You went heavy at the linebacker spot. You went heavy in the defensive backfield. What do you like particularly about the 12 guys you have on the back end of your defense coming in?
Well, they're playmakers. We have size. We have some length. And obviously, when you play that position, you have to have swagger. And you love that about this group of young men on the back end because all of those guys possess those traits. When you're around them, they certainly believe, hey, I want the play to come my way. I'm going to make a big play when the game's on the line. I'm going to intercept the ball, knock it down. And they're not only one position guys. They played on the offensive side of the ball, but they've got return production. So it's a great group on the back end. And I'm excited because I love the swagger they bring. And I know the practices are already very spirited right now. That's only going to continue, and that'll be even more spirited now adding those guys in the mix.
How confident are you, too, in this particular group? Because they're going to have to play in a lot of places to look at it. And I guess this question is twofold. How confident are you in this group being able to do that? But also, when you recruited them, how much did you look at it and say, we need to go get guys that aren't necessarily guys that we can redshirt and take a couple of years with? We need to go find guys that we know are ready to come in and play now and really contribute.
That's a big part of it. When you go out on the recruiting trail and Coach Jackson going to communicate with these young men in their homes, going to their schools and being able to tell them, hey, there is a great opportunity sitting here at Ball State University for you. If your desire is to get on the field early here, guess what? If you come in, you take care of business, you get off to a good start, summer bridge program, you transition to the college life, and you're making plays in camp, there's a great opportunity for you to be on the field here as a true freshman. Did a great job of presenting that opportunity to these young men, and that's why we were able to get some guys, the caliber of these players. This is a great class, great group in the back end, great class overall, but that's the exciting part, knowing that they're coming in, they're embracing the fact that, hey, I'm competing for playing time day one.
Another theme of this class, if you will, you look at the offensive side of the ball, a lot of skill position guys, 5 wide receivers, 3 running backs. You're already deep at running back. You add some more depth there, and obviously you lose a guy like Kevon Maybot in the receiver core, and you'll have a ton of competition there. Now, what excites you about the skill position guys that you're bringing in and what they could bring to the table?
Well, just like we talked about with the back end players in the secondary, these wide receivers, the running backs, man, these guys are all explosive players that have a ton of big plays on tape in all areas, running the ball, pass catching, returning the ball. So this is a group of guys, and they're all different, which makes it great because when you're able to bring that kind of versatility, different types of guys into your program, it's tough to defend. And we're excited. All these guys know that we're not an offense that just features one guy. There's plenty of plays to be made. There's plenty of balls to go around. There's plenty of touches available. If these guys come in here, and they're all going to be different. Each guy's going to be a little bit different when they come in. Some will be able to take on what we're doing fast. They'll make plays like a guy, Damon Hazelton did a year ago in training camp and earned his way onto the field. So it's exciting to have that kind of group there, and the weapons and the explosiveness and the playmaking ability. It's exciting to have that, and to get those guys on the field at one time is going to be tough to defend.
I want to ask you particularly about Caleb Huntley, though, because you look at some of the really great backs in this league over the last couple of years, and you got trucks. I mean, you look at your Trayon Durhams, or you go to Northern Illinois, your Joe Albuanos, and even before him, your Cameron Stingley's. I mean, house guys.
Jarvion Franklin.
Jarvion Franklin, certainly. What does he give you? Obviously, James Gilbert, one of the best, if not the best running back in this league, but he's not 230 pounds. How does that benefit you guys?
Well, just like I do, as the season goes on, obviously the hits and the running style of a guy like James Gilbert, as the season goes on, he only knows one way, and you start to take some hits, some shots, and it'll start to wear on you for the course of 12 games. So bringing in a bigger backs was something that we set out on the recruiting trail that we wanted to do because it's a great compliment to a guy like James. When you can have that, James runs like a big back. He just doesn't happen to be that stature. So when you can bring a big back in like that, man, that just makes it tough. Third and fourth quarter, when a lot of these games are decided, those are tough guys to tackle. And that's why we felt like it was so important to get those guys here as part of our program.
Look at a guy like Caleb Huntley, Khalil Newton. You had a lot of guys in this class that were sought by many schools, that were highly recruited. And I know recruiting rankings aren't everything, but this is one of the higher ranked classes in the MAC, and it's the first top 3 class in the MAC that Ball State's had in quite some time. And just overall, what's that mean for your program to be able to get that recognition? And again, I know these guys have to go prove it on the field now, but to be able to say we've got talent now, and now we got to go win.
Well, exciting. The 2017 class has a chance to be very special, has an opportunity, if you just look at it right now before they arrive into the building and on campus here, to go down as one of the best in the history of our program. But that's a buzz, and that's excitement of National Signing Day here for 2017. But the credit goes to our staff and the total team effort that it takes to get out on the recruiting trail, build relationships, convince these young men that Ball State University is a great place where you can accomplish all your goals, dreams, aspirations, accomplish your academic goals, and to get a great degree from a great university where you can go out and make a difference in the world, because we all know there's going to be a day arrive when football is going to be over, and to set yourself up for life and be able to emphasize that with these young men, with their families, that was a big part of our recruiting effort.
Here's the fun thing, though, Mike. There's a lot of buzz around it, and there gets to be all that buzz for the next 7 months, so you can bask in the glow, and then the hard work starts when you get to August.
Well, there's no doubt about it. And, the communication with all these guys today, once everything became official, and, trying to encourage these guys, hey, enjoy the day, and it's great, but it's also hard, too, when you're these young men and you've had so much interaction on social media for such a long time here, year and a half. It'll all change for them tomorrow. They'll be like, oh, what happened to the text messages? What happened to the tweets? What happened to the social media? But they got to know that, hey, it's time to finish off your senior year strong here in the classroom. You still have to do a good job this last semester, and then we'll get them on campus here soon enough.
Mike, congratulations on putting this group together, and really looking forward to seeing it in the fall.
Me too. I can't wait.
Head coach Mike New joining us here on Signing Day Live. Peter, good feelings overall about this group?
Yeah, absolutely. We mentioned the highly ranked class, just to give a little bit of context to that. Number 3 by 24/7 Sports. The last time the Cardinals brought in a top 3 class in the MAC was 2006. A guy named Nate Davis and another guy named McQuail Lewis.
I don't know how that turned
class.
out. I think that team started 12-0 as you take a look at the full breakdown of this class. A really good group of Cardinals signing pen to paper today for the 2017 Take Flight National Signing Day class of the Ball State Cardinals. That'll be a wrap for us, though, here for National Signing Day Live. So for Peter Hood and Corey Stace and Connor Onion, certainly Mike New and his entire football staff here at Ball State, and the entire crew for Ball State Sports Link, all students helping produce this product here from Ball State's campus today. Phenomenal job by all of them helping bring all of this coverage to you here this morning. For everybody, my name is Joel Gadet here on ESPN3's Ball State Football Signing Day Live. As always, you can watch a replay of this on Watch ESPN or the ESPN app. 2017, only 7 months away from football season.